Hi everyone, my name is Phyllis and I'm the owner of Moody Quilting Fabrics, and I'm here to do another share tutorial. Before we get started, I wanted to tell you where my inspiration for this particular tutorial started or came from. Last fall, and I believe it was last fall, there was a quilt that really grabbed my attention. I mean, really grabbed it. And it was just strips and just a random assembly, like almost free form. I didn't get a chance to talk to the maker of the quilt to ask her how she put together her blocks or what she did to put this quilt top together. I came up with my own conclusions. Now, I'm not the first one, I'm sure, to have come up with these conclusions and have played with this concept in the past. Obviously, she's done it. I don't know if she's done it based on a pattern. I don't believe so. I think it was just something that she just randomly did, and it was really interesting. Now, what I noticed is that she had these little tiny, maybe 3-inch blocks in different places. Now, I can't remember if they were a star block or if they were a 9-patch or something, but they were, and she also worked from color. She really did some designing with color. Now, I'm not going to get as much into it as that, but I studied the quilt as much as I could during the show because I was manning my booth at the same time. But I came up with a game plan for me to be able to kind of do something similar. Now, like I said, she had these little blocks, and I decided that I had these already made up. I had done a tutorial on how to make these using the Quilt in a Day Flying Geese, and I decided to use the really tiny one. Let me move over. So I decided to use this little tiny one to do these flying geese. So it would be like that. So very tiny. So I did a tutorial on how to do that and put these blocks together. There's 4 here. I made 6 in total, and if I decide I have to make more than 6 for this particular quilt, then I will. But let me show you what I'm thinking and where I'm coming from. So she randomly took fabrics and strips and just put them together. This is what I came up with the first one. Now I started building up another one, and I don't care if these are centered. I want things to be random. And this I cut down to 12.5 raw, so it would be a finished 12.5-inch block. And sorry, I didn't put myself up there. So here I am looking at the camera. Anyway, sorry, I digress. But anyway, so I just thought this would be fun. Now, I had all these strips cut because I cut these, and these are cut at 1.5. And I have a bag, just a huge bag full of these kind of strips and the leftover fabrics, because I didn't cut up all the fabrics. I cut a few strips from each fat quarter. And so we will take, the first thing you're going to do is, I'm just going to put this aside. I put the blocks aside. And the first thing we're going to do is sew these together. Now I'm just get to make sure that, and I've sewn up a few ahead of time, but I'm just going to I'm not going to sew these in front of you, but I'm going to tell you how to go about it. Now these are cut 1.5 inches. I've decided that I'm going to use these strips to get my thing together. She used random sizes, so you can do whatever you want with this, but I am working with 1.5-inch strips because that's what I have and I want to use them, and I have way more than I need. I have already used the strips for another project, and that project, all the units have been dealt with, and I've got all of it put aside. So these strips were more than I needed. So here we are. Now, when I sew these together, I would sew these two, and I would sew from here to here. Then I would sew these two and sew from here to here. And then these two sew from here to here. And then these two sew from this edge to that edge. Once these are sewn together into groups of 2, then I would sew them into groups of 4. Now to do that, that's my iron. Let me just get it going again because I'm going to need it. So I would, like I said, I sewed these strips all in the same direction. But when I sew these ones to these two to this grouping to this grouping, I want to make sure that I sew in the opposite direction. And the reason why I want to do that is because if you sew everything in the same direction, you'll get this kind of bow, like it would just kind of curve a little bit, and then you'll struggle to get straight cuts out of them. So let me just pick these up, and I'm going to put because we're going to sew and cut and sew and cut. And I'm just going to leave these out. I'm going to put the other ones away, and I'm going to grab this one. Now, I made the other one that we did. Let me just pull this up. I made this one bigger than it needed. Like I had bigger pieces, and then I kind of centered the way I wanted it, and then cut the square out. So I had some leftovers. So once I had some leftover, I decided to sew this one and this one like this around this one. And so I'm going to start building. And then I had this kind of odd shaped piece that is here. And what I think I might do is I'm just trying to decide how I want to do this. I think I'm going to sew. I'm just going to sew. I think I'm going to sew from here to here, and then I'm going to cut like that, and or cut like this, and like, no, maybe not. Maybe I will wait on that one and see what I can get from this one. Let me get my cutting mat back up here and see. Oh, I have a small one, so maybe I'll work with this one and see what it can give me. I think I'm going to sew this like this, and then I'm going to cut this corner off to square up a little bit. And then maybe I'll cut this way, that way, put something here, put something here, and put something, maybe another piece here, and then square it up. I know you're thinking, oh, why don't I just cut it here? But I want these shapes to be interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and sew this one. And I should not take the time to think. I should just be kind of putting it on and not worrying about where things go. So let me sew this together, and we've gone to the, there we go. And then we'll just see what I can do to prep. There we go. And we'll see what we can do. This is very freeing. I've never done this before, but I'm thinking it's kind of will be fun. Let me just put and see. I have stuff ready to go to use. I've sewn 8 together, and I found that 8 strips sewn together gave me a little bit better. You know what? I need to do some ironing first. So if I pull this up and okay, I'm just going to trim this off. Now, here I am. I'm going to make more work for myself than I want, but that's okay. So I'm going to trim this off, and that's garbage. I should change to the thicker, the bigger. All right, I'll just pop that there. And I'm thinking something like that. Okay, and if that's the case, then I want to unsew this a little bit. And sew this like this. So let's head back to the sewing machine. And like I was saying earlier, this was quite freeing to do that block, like, because there's no rhyme or reason to it. You just piece things together, making sure that you're not doing any major stretching or distorting of the fabric, because you want to make sure that things stay fairly flat. There we go. I'm going to give that an iron. Let me move this out of the way. Let me see if I can clean this up. And I'm going to iron it, I think, there. You know what? I'm just going to choose a direction, and then I'm going to iron. Yeah, there we go. Get rid of excess threads as we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sew this down. And then I'll probably have to do some cutting and come up with another game plan for the next piece. Now, I don't want to stretch this piece here because that's on the bias of some sort. It's on it's maybe not 45 degrees, but because I just randomly cut it into that shape. But I definitely don't want to stretch it, because then if it stretches too much, we will have some warping and distortion on the actual, in the middle of the block, and we don't want that. All right, so now let me just trim off any excess threads. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and get that ironed. And see, that's looking pretty good. That's looking pretty good. I need to do some cutting. So what I think I might do is cut off there. Let me just, sorry, I forgot to change the camera. So it's now ironed. This is all sewn. This is looking really nice. I didn't stretch this. I don't want, see how this stretches? I don't want to do any major stretching. Now, what I'm thinking is if I cut it this way, yeah, I think I'm going to cut it this way, and then I can put something else here. And then I'd like to put something more up here and see if I can block this up even more. I'll need some more space there. I think I need to cut, but I think if I cut it that way, yeah, that's what I think I'll start with. And technically, you don't, when you do this kind of work, make your decisions as quickly as possible. That's how I work. That's my norm. I make my decisions very quickly because you don't need. So there, that looks good. And I'm just gonna trim, trim that off. I should use my bigger. Okay, so now I think I'm gonna grab one of these and I'm gonna sew this to this, and then I think I'll cut this way and I'll cut some kind of angle to sew in here. So we'll see. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. All right, so now we're gonna switch back to the camera for the sewing machine. I keep saying camera, but it's the sewing machine camera. All right, so here we go. And this is looking really good. And we don't want to get too anal about this. I'm just needing to trim something here. There's too much bulk right here. So I'm just gonna trim that off. And we're gonna continue sewing this down. Now I don't want to stretch this because I don't know, this here is definitely on an angle. You got to be careful when you're sewing these, because you really do not want things to get kind of funny. Now you can make these this as big as you want. And then square them up. I chose to square up with a 12.5 block instead of 15. I was thinking of 15, but I decided that they will be 12. And let me just and there we go. Now I'm just looking at this. I don't like that. So I think I'm going to iron it the other way here. Oop-a-da. There we go. Now, I think I'm going to trim this because I've missed a little spot there. So I'm going to trim this, squaring that up. And I think I might trim this like that. Hold on. I forgot to turn it. I keep doing that. Okay, so I definitely need to trim this here and square that up. But I think I might trim it this way. So let's get to that. Now, I haven't decided if I'm going to make more of these or not. I have 6 of them done. And I'm thinking I can leave them at 6 and then do other blocks just with all the stripes and everything. It would look so cool with these little splatters of stuff around And then so let me just double check. All right, that looks good. There. Now, this is garbage. That I'm deciding is garbage. And now I'm just going to eyeball this cut. And I think if I make sure that that's straight and something is straight along here, I think, and it's along there, I think it should be okay. There we go. So there I am there. I'd like to put something up that way, but I also need to put something here. Okay, so let me see what we have here. I'm just trying to decide if I want to do that. I kind of like that, but I'm going to have to build this way also. So yeah. So we're going to go ahead and sew that. And it's almost like playing with pieces and then kind of jigsawing it together randomly. And there's no right or wrong. There is no right or wrong on how to do this. It's supposed to be fun. So like I said, I started with 1.5 inches of strips. I did those strips for another project, and these were the leftovers. I'm still working on that other project, but these are the leftovers. That's all in that bag. I mean, just huge amounts of leftovers. When I started the other one, it's like random. It was just me deciding that I'm going to do this, and that's what I did. All right, so let's see what this is going to give us. All right, so now I need to make a decision. So I think I need to kind of just trim that. And actually, I think I might just sew this off and sew this. And try not to pull too much. And again, I forgot, sorry. I'm so focused here, I keep forgetting to move my the camera view. Okay, I think my head's in the way. Yeah, you don't want to see the top of my head. So we're just going to, I'm just decided that it would be better if I just remove this. And there, okay. So now I'd like to trim it that way. Is there something underneath this? No, it's just warping because of the heat. All right, so now I think I need to do a trim this way. All right. There we go. And I think I need to clean I think I need to clean this up a little bit and then put something there, but I think I'd like to get something at the top here. There. This, I should be using my other, I don't know where it is, my larger one. So I don't think that is straight per se. Let me just check. Oh yeah, it's good enough. It does not look straight. It does not look straight, but I think it's just a warped. I think it's because this is at an angle and everything. So now I have to decide what I want to do. Now that's big enough to pop that in there, square it up. Now I could do that also. I'm not sure. I think I've given myself, I've got myself into a bit of a pickle here. I can do a partial seam and then add something in there. I could do a partial seam. I think I got myself into and I really don't want this because I just cut this off, right? I just cut that off. So I don't want to use that piece. Let me see what this piece gives me. Oh, I need to iron this because I unstitched this, right? So I need to fix the you want things to be as random as possible, and I am building this in front of you, and I don't want these lined up because then if they're too lined up, then you're thinking, oh, well, why did you cut it off? Well, I cut it off because, okay, I just want to get rid of this little piece here because we really don't need it. That can go in the garbage. Okay. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this sewn on and I'm going to leave this open a little bit. I'm not going to sew all the way. And then I am going to sew this and then continue here. And this is going to be like, yeah, random. All right. So this gets sewn on. And then I will somehow get this cut to shape and get it on. No, I don't want to, I want to leave it partially opened. Now again, this is all on some kind of bias edge, so we don't want to stretch it if we can help it. Because we want things to lie as flat as we can get it to stay flat. All right, I'm going to trim off. I remembered. We're going to trim off these. And I'm going to actually take a look at this and see what it's giving me. All right, so now, actually, you know what? I'd like to iron that. I want it to lie flat, so when I cut this piece down to fit, I am not going to be getting any major distortion or cut too small or too large. There we go. All right, so now let's bring, I'm just cooling this off a little bit because it warps my board when it's hot. All right. There we go. I'm really liking this. This is so much fun. All right, so now I want to trim. I'm actually going to pull it this way. And the reason why I'm pulling it that way, I'm leaving it with some space here, is because I'm just going to take my ruler and trim this part. And then it will get pulled this way a little bit when I sew it on, right? So, all right. I really do not have enough room to work with this large ruler. But anyways, this is what I have. This is what all right. So I think I'm going to go ahead and trim that. And then I am going, I'd like to get rid of that. And then I'm going to go ahead and sew. I'm just going to lay this back out, making sure everything is laid out. And I'm going to sew this on like that. And that will fill up that corner. And then I can sew the other piece once it's ironed. And then I can check. I think I might have the 12.5 inches all the way around space, at least. Like I said when I showed you the first block I did, I don't care where the star falls, because I don't, when the quilt is all together, I don't want to see technically blocks. I mean, if you look closely enough, you will see blocks, but I would prefer having everything looking random so you can't see if it was built in block form or what, right? So I don't want to see that. I want it to look quite random. Okay, now I need to get rid of that. And that's extra thread. I want to give this a quick ironing. I'm going to give this a quick ironing. Yeah, that looks, it's a little off there. I didn't move it along, but that's okay. I'll figure that out. I don't want to have to undo if I can help it. And now this is what it is. So now I'm going to go ahead and sew. I'm going to sew down here. And then I'm going to check to see if I can cut a 12.5-inch square out of this. If I can't, then obviously I will build up some more. Now, anything that I cut off of this can be used for the next one, right? So I think that looks pretty good. There we go. Let's take a look and see what this is giving me. So let's move back over here and let's see what this is giving me. I don't think I have enough for, I think I need to build this way or this way. And let me get rid of this thread. And let me get rid of this thread. There we go. So let's see if I can get, and I don't think so. I think I need something more up here. But where's my 12-inch? Here it is. See, I could get it like that. So maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe that's what I'll do. What do you think? Let me just, I think that looks pretty good. I have a light over here, right over top of my ironing and cutting board. And unfortunately, it shines down when I use rulers. And I apologize for that. But this is what I have as a space for sewing. I think I might do that. But I would have preferred doing more like that. So I need to put something in there. I would prefer doing it more like that. So I need to put something right here. Yeah. All right. So we have a game plan. Let me see if that gives me enough space. That does. That does give me what I need. So I'm just going to sew this piece into there, and then I'm going to trim. Let me just double check something here. Because that fabric is the same as that. I don't know if I want it side by side. I'm getting picky. I'm starting to get picky. Oh, you know what? I prefer that angle. I prefer that angle. All right, that's what I'm going to do. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and just sew that on. And we're going to go over to the sewing machine to do that. And then we can cut. And I just happen to be using pre-cut strips that I had overcut from another project. And that project, I've already used the strips that I need to use. And it's starting to, I'm starting to assemble the blocks with the, what I did with the strips. So I don't need the strips anymore. So I've decided that I will, and I'll probably not even use all the strips that I have to do this project. All right, so let's iron that. And then I'm going to get, there we go. So it looks pretty random, right? I mean, it looks pretty out there. So Let me just make sure that this is all that's cooled down enough. All right. I am really thrilled by this because it's so much fun, and if you do it, it's just a great way to use up leftover fabrics and just have fun. And what is the stabilizer of is these little random blocks that I had done a tutorial on. And I'm really thrilled. There we go. And I'm going to just pick this completely up and do a careful turn so I can do the other two sides. I'm going to just make sure nothing shifted on me. Okay, that looks pretty good. There we go. I wouldn't have, if I was using a bigger, but I can't find it. If I was using a bigger rotary cutter, I wouldn't have so much problems cutting through these layers. And I'm pretty sure. And there. So that's one. And let me grab the other one. And see, if I turned around and sewed these two together, you won't know. That looks, holy cow. I am really like loving this. What fun. I think I like it this way better. Look, and there's a tiny little, just a tiny little piece right here. So this leftover, all this leftover here, okay, I would turn around and use it for my next construction, because the more random the pieces are, the more you would get that is different. So that is today's share. I hope you will take this and run with it yourself. I think it will be a lot of fun. It's a great way to use up stash. You do not need to use 1.5 inch strips like I am. You could use squares and rectangles and whatever floats your boat, like whatever inspires you and makes you want to continue. You do not need to do little tiny stars like I'm doing. You can take, let's say, for example, you've done a quilt and you have a couple of extra blocks. You can throw those in or cut those up to use, you know, half blocks or quarter blocks, and just have a lot of fun with this. It's quite freeing. There's no rhyme or reason. There's no rules to it. You can do whatever you want, whatever works best for you, and however. My advice is to not overthink your piecing, because if you start overthinking, you get into the I wouldn't like to say a trap, but you're going to be in the same boat as when you do a construction, like follow a pattern and put blocks together, and that's very form fitting and everything. This is supposed to be free, and it's supposed to be something that is supposed to be fun and just freeing up and not worrying about does this match and does that match, because when I put these together, I'm not going to try to match any of this. Like, I'm not going to, here, sorry. Here, So I'm not going to try to match any of these. I don't care if they match. It's not important. It's supposed to be freeing, and there's supposed to be no matching up when you put your blocks together. Now, what I might do is construct, without one of the stars, I might construct another block in between so I can get a much bigger piece, right? So it's all about what you are comfortable in doing. All right. So that is it for today, and I hope you enjoyed this. If you want to see more videos, please subscribe and ring the bell so you get notified when I upload a video. I try to upload every Friday morning a new one, so so please check me out for the little tiny blocks. For these little tiny blocks, I did a tutorial for those, and I'll put that down in the link. And like I said, I did a tutorial on how I made these flying geese, not necessarily the whole block, but just the flying geese and the tiny little flying geese. So that's it for today. Have a great week, and we'll see you on the next share. Bye.